Welcome to Life with Ajane. I'm Ajane. This is the Lawfully Here. This is the Lawfully Her series. So today, what I'm talking about is just where I'm at. The editing is been minimal. More of what I did this week is I updated my resume a little bit more because I realized some things were a little off, and I've done a couple more things that just needed to be added to that. Some more talks and panels and things like that. The other two things that I did where I attended an event, a webinar for one of the law schools I'm applying to. I'll get into that in a second. And the other thing that I did was I followed up my letters of recommendation. So in terms of the webinar, I think first and foremost, it's really important to go to webinars for admissions events with the schools that you're interested in. So whatever law school you're interested in, is very likely that if you go to their admissions page and find an admissions event calendar, or you can just Google admissions event calendar X law school, that there should be some kind of admissions event. And with that event, you're hearing directly from the admissions office about what it is that they're looking for in their application. And I think that you should go to as many of those that you can handle, so that you can hear from each particular school, because every school, they have similarities, but each school has its own kind of culture, right? So you kind of want to just make sure that you understand what they're looking for with their kind of application. You also want to understand what kind of students are at the school. Do I fit into the culture there? Is that the kind of culture that I'm looking to step into? And some of those things can be indicated by some of these admissions events. The one that I went to most recently was just about the applications process in general and the type of law school that the law school I'm interested in is. And it was virtual. So yeah, all the events I'm going to are virtual because I'm very limited in being able to go places here, there, everywhere with two little ones and a bunch of other stuff going on. So I'm so thankful that we are in an era of webinars so that I can just go and listen and ask my questions and engage virtually. So yeah, that was actually really informative today. I learned a lot about the particular law school that I went and listened to from their admissions folks. And with that, that's another thing that made me revisit in my letters of recommendation. So initially, I wasn't really going to particularly update all of my letters. I was going to update maybe one of them, and then another one I was going to add to the pot. And usually schools take between 2 and 3 letters of recommendation. But after going to this webinar, I was like, wait, why am I not updating all of my letters? It doesn't take much to ask people to just update it and just give them some time to do so. So yeah, and then particularly when they talked about wanting letters from people who can really speak to your intellect and what kind of person you are in a classroom, or what kind of value that you add in spaces based on your critical thinking skills, your analysis, and things of that nature. So with that, I was like, wait, why didn't I use this one professor that I had in grad school who was just game-changing in terms of the courses that I took with this professor? I think I showed up as my best self in that space, and that professor's courses literally kind of changed the trajectory about how I specialize in philosophy, because I came into philosophy particularly interested in bioethics from a general context. Then from my mentor advisor at one place, I ended up going and studying women and gender studies, which was amazing. And the women and gender studies led me back into thinking about decolonial theory, especially since my particular sect of talking about bioethics was talking about decolonizing certain practices that we had. So then I took decolonial theory, and I took critical race theory with this professor. Amazing professor, amazing courses, and just really gave me some roots. And fired me up in the best of ways. If you're in the philosophy book club right now, we know we're talking about anger and putting that to use. That was where I found some of my anger that I put to the best of uses. So yeah, that's kind of what I reflected on, and I was just like, why didn't I reach back out to this professor? So I sent an email. Hopefully they get back to me. Hopefully it goes well and they have time to write a letter and will be willing to. If not, I have backup plans. I hate saying backup plans in relation to people. Well, it's not really the people, it's in terms of the letter submission. So anyway, yeah, I already have some letters lined up that can also speak to my abilities and the value that I add. So I'm not too worried about it, but I would love it if this professor could also write a letter, because they just mattered a lot in my journey. And like I said, I think that this particular professor can speak to just what I can do in a classroom space specifically. And I took more than one grad school course with them, so that's important. You don't often do that too much outside of like advisor maybe. Anyway, so yeah, I reached out about letters, getting updates from people who wrote them last time, and I'm continuing forward, and that's that. So that's where I'm at. Minimal editing, did a little bit more resume touch up, followed up with my folks for my letters recommendation, went to that webinar. And I guess my takeaway from this week is to make sure that y'all are going back to the source. Again, lots of these law schools have admissions events where you can learn. Sometimes they have admissions events where you can learn directly from students and ask your questions to students who have put aside the time to literally talk to y'all. Just go Google it, look up so-and-so law school admissions events calendar and see what they have. Now's the time to go ahead and get on the books for those, because there's things happening right now. Yeah, just get in there. Why not? Go check it out and see if there's something you can learn, and then you can figure out if you're actually a good fit and if the school is a good fit for you. And so, yeah, one thing that I know is that a lot of people kind of just jump into this process, rush into this process, and they're like, okay, law school is like a personal goal or an expectation, or something just sounds like it's just right to do. I think that this would be a good time to take some time to reflect as well on why you're doing this and what is it that you want out of it? What kind of attorney do you want to be? And then once you can answer some of those questions, use those to come up with further questions to then ask the admissions people. Use those questions to be like, okay, do you have the kind of environment that I'm looking for? Do you have the kind of opportunities that I'm looking for? If you want to do something like engage with the community, do you have clinics where I can do that? Do you have other kinds of programming that I can do that? How often do your students actually get in there? Like, is this something that people have to scrape and scrap over? Or is this something that everybody pretty much gets to do before they graduate? I know for me, I want an environment that is not super competitive. I'm not really here for that. I'm here to learn and to investigate. I'm here to do collaborative work, to do community work, to raise each other up instead of like trying to step on each other. So I'm looking and I'm asking questions about community and trying to understand what kind of like space is this. Some people thrive in competition. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, when you have people in the space that want to compete. I don't want to do that. I want it to be like, everybody is already cool. We already made it. We already here. So now let's just focus on the work and let's support each other as best as we can. That's what I want. So I'm going to keep going to events and making sure that the culture aligns. And I'm going to try and do that for every school that I'm applying to. I've already been to a few events for a few schools, so I kind of have a good understanding of those schools and the culture and the expectations behind the application. But yeah, I'm going to go to some more. So that's where I'm at. Last thing is, on the tutoring front, we got a good little handful of students, y'all. But I'll tell you this, once I hit 10 students, I'm going to raise the price of tutoring. So if you know that tutoring is something that you're interested in right now, it's a really good deal. $50, 2 hours of personal tutoring. One of like directly personal, the other one in like a group study setting that you can actually come and chat with people and figure out if y'all want to study together or something like that. Long story short, yeah, get in before 10. Get in before 10. You know you have something you want to do. My first 10 folks are going to have this particular rate. So you're in at 10. You can keep the rate that you're at now before things get raised up. And I have some really cool content coming up in terms of like instructional stuff. I have an exclusive for my one-on-one members right now that's going to come out on the 1st of September that is going to help break down some like basic foundational concepts in conditionals in terms of logic. And then the next month in October, that'll be open to everyone else on YouTube right here. So yeah, you want some exclusives and early access, some more direct help and insight and breakdown and analysis of your process, because that's mostly what we do in the one-on-one sessions. It's like I listen to your process and kind of troubleshoot with you, give you some tips. Yeah, you want some of that? Come on over before 10. Get in before 10. All right. Anywho, that's it for this week. Wishing y'all the very best on those journeys. Get on those applications if you haven't already. I know some people are still studying for LSAT and trying to get the best score possible. If that's you, go ahead and do that. Be open to waiting if you need to, but you're going for it right now, this cycle. Just make sure that you're also working on your apps. That way you don't get hit over the head and you can actually get those in at a reasonable time. All right. See y'all next time.